Hi everyone, and welcome back to Laura Larsen Organizing, your channel to get organized at home and at work for a more fulfilled and productive life. In today's video, we are in session number 3 of the time management month of August, and today we are talking about how to sort back in your calendar, how to fill your calendar with joy, how you fill your calendar with your priorities, and also with joyful elements to maintain a happy schedule. So in this week, we are in week number 3 of the time management month, the first time that we ever doing a theme month. And this month's theme is the time management. So for the first week, I talked already about what is time management, why it's important, why time is your most important resource, and what are the basics of time management, how do you actually organize time. And then we went through the 6 everyday steps of organizing, which is first getting an idea about what's your ideal day, like how does your ideal calendar, your ideal time looks like. And also I'm gonna put it in the show notes, as with every video, there's a full video where I just talk about how to get an idea, how to get a vision of your ideal day. And then there's the 4 steps of the organizing, which is just getting everything out, getting an overview of what is there, what you all have, what has to be organized. Step number 2 is of categorizing it first in a bit, so it's easier for step number 3, the sorting out. And this is what we did last week. We talked about after you got everything out from your calendar, then there's step number 4 of sorting everything back in, following by the 6th step of then the full organizing process, and that is the how to maintain your organization that you just created. And in last week, we talked about the difficulties of sorting actually things out. So what we did till then is that we already got everything out of our calendars. We wrote everything down on little papers or in spreadsheets to get an overview of how we actually spend our time and how much time do we spend on which activities. And if you have a problem doing that, I also recommend it for you to do actually like a time schedule book where you're just gonna write down every day what you're doing, for how long you're doing it, to just get an overview where your time is actually flowing. So maybe you've done that by now and have now an overview of where your time is going. And then we started categorizing it. We put it in different categories of this is what I do for my personal life, this is what I do for my job, this is what I do for household chores, this is what I do for family, just to have it in different categories. And then we came to step number 3, the most important step, and this is the sorting out. And the sorting out is so difficult. That's why we spent an entire episode last week on it, on how do I sort things out? How do I get the feeling of what I want to keep in life and what I don't? Because sorting out time is different than sorting out your things at home, like your clothes or your kitchen or whatever, because we cannot only rely on this criteria of what sparks joy to us, because there are so many things that we have to do during our days which don't spark joy actually. Like we have to answer emails, we have to clean up, we have to do some things in our adult life that we don't love. So last week I gave you some tools with the urgency important matrix from Eisenhower and also the 80-20 tool, which helps you to just prioritize. Because most of the time, it's not really the activities that bring us down, it's the chaos of activities that we have during the day, which brings us down. And also if we only fill our days with these things that we don't like and we don't have anything that actually makes us happy. So with these tools from last week's video, I hope you were able to actually sort some of your activities and chores and things that you're doing during the day already out. And that clears up now some calendar time for this week's video in step number 3, how to sort back in. After the sorting out, you should have ended up with a leaner calendar. Of course, there's still things you have to do which don't make you happy, which don't fill you with joy, but generally you should have ended up with some less activities of things you already could sort out. So, what do you do with these new one time that you just got? And while sorting things back in, we take back our calendar from the ideal day. We take the ideal day that we wrote down, and then we actually see, so how do we wish that our day looks like? And then you have your schedule from your ideal day, when you want to wake up, what you want to do first, what you want to do after, if you want to do sports or meditation in the morning, when you want to go to work, and what hours you want to work, and when you have your breaks, how many breaks you have, what you do during your breaks, when you end your day, when you want to spend time with your family or time with yourself or with friends, and when you want to go to bed. You have your list of how your ideal day actually should look like. If you not have done it, please catch up. And then on the other hand side, you have all the activities left that you want to do because they fill you with joy or that you have to do. And the good thing of last week's activity with setting the priorities is not only that it helped you to sort out things, but also it helped you to prioritize it, to decide for you what's most important and what's most urgent and has to be done. Beside the fact it's the thing that you really want to do, that also has a really high importance. So, and this is my first recommendation, like you look at your ideal day and then you fill in all the things in the spots that they belong to. So you want to do sports, put it in the time slot on your ideal day which you planned for sports. Or there's the things that you want to do with your family, put them in the time slot that you actually blocked for your family. And then there are also those activities which don't come that easy for you because these are things you have to do, like answering emails or whatever. Fill them in your work day. Put them on the placeholders which you planned for your workday. And in that, go from the highest to the lowest priorities, that you get the most important and the most urgent things done. Again, if you have questions about importance or urgency, look to last week's video where I explained how you sort your tasks actually into importance and urgency and what you do with them. But take the things that you have to do from your highest priority to lowest and fill them in your day, and that's how you start them. So when you have your time blocked for your work, then you don't do first some emails and then you go in the office and chat with a colleague and then someone else is coming by and telling you a task that has to be done, like coming with this urgency flag again. No, you can take back control over your calendar and do the most important and the most urgent things first. And then at the end of the time, when there's still time, look at your emails, look at the most important things, however it fits your day. But this is the biggest priority, that you do the things that are most important for you, for also a fulfilling work day. You do them first, because most of the time, as I already said, it's not the fact that we don't get anything done or that we don't like the job or we hate our job or we hate the different tasks that include our job. What actually makes us really unhappy is that we have the feeling that we are not in control over our day, that we are not going to work and actually doing what we want to do, what we have to do, what brings us closer to our goals, to our career achievements, because we're just like so swamped up with things that just popping in during the day. So while there's not a lot of things that we can control at work, because we have managers, we have to follow the rules, we have colleagues which we have to align with schedules, and of course organizing things at work is more difficult than organizing things at home, because at work you're working in a team. There are still things that you can take control over, and this is then how you fill the different things in that are left from your leftover task in your ideal day. The things that make you happy in the time slots that you plan for them, the things you have to do in the time slots that you plan for them, and go from most important to least important from your priorities. But now I have 3 more tips for you that you should have in mind while filling in your day. The first thing is, do minimum one nice thing per day. That means when you plan your day and you have a full work day or whatever planned and a lot of important things and chores and things that you have to do, and you stack them by priority and you do the most important first, you followed all the rules and doing it perfect. Still make sure that you fill your day with at least minimum one thing that really makes you happy. Why? Because things that make you happy always have in general the highest priority. Especially if you have a lot of things to do, even more, try to fill in things that are like a level out for you. That when you're just like running from appointment to appointment, even if everything's important and urgent, make sure that you have time to reset, because this is regarding your health, your mental health and your physical health. No one's gonna win if you just stress through your day and you have a really hard day and you're just burning out. No one's gonna win with that. Not you, not any of your colleagues or anyone of your family. So make sure you have these times to relax. There are things in between your day which make you happy, which fill you, which give you back motivation, which give you back your smile. And you will also see that all the things that come after will come way easier to you if you just not back up one thing after another of like stress and hard work and things that you don't like to do. Because short term, you may think you're doing less for your job because you're planning these things in between, which you do just for yourself. But in long term, you're really doing it because you just get more efficient and more productive, the happier and the more relaxed you can do your work. So tip number 1, always minimum do one thing during the day that you really love doing. And then second tip is take breaks. And this is similar to tip number 1, but also a bit different because do something that you love can also be a task. It can be that you love, for example, meeting your colleague and talking about this one project, or it can be that you love filling in Excel sheets or whatever. This like point number 1 is more about doing tasks in between that make you happy. Point number 2 is really about taking breaks, doing nothing, going out, go on a walk, take a break, eat something, breathe, meditate, do a power nap, whatever fits you best to actually really recharge. And the last point I want to talk about is a common mistake that a lot of people think that it's an ability which is great and a lot of people envy it, but actually it's not. And we're talking about multitasking here. Multitasking is somehow seen as a gift or as an ability that is super attractive, that when you are able to multitask, you're really efficient, you're doing a lot of things, you're learning a lot of things at the same time. So you can actually do, if you're doing 3 things at the same time, you're as efficient as 3 of your co-workers who can't multitask. But the problem is, it's a common misunderstanding, because multitasking is not doing 3 things at the same time. No one can do 3 things at the same time. You always can just do one thing after another after another. So people who think they multitask, or other people think they're multitask, they're actually getting less done with probably way more mistakes because you're not focusing on this one task. So my last tip to you is, when you're planning in your calendar and you're planning on how you do your things and when you do them, make sure you're doing one thing after another, because it's way more efficient. Actually, science found out that multitasking brings down your efficiency about 40% when you're actually doing things. And there's a super small fun test that you can do. And for that, you just need a small sheet of paper, a pen, and a timer. And I'm just gonna set it up quick, the timer. And therefore, I'm gonna just write down 4 names after each other. Let's take the name of our family. So I'm gonna write down my name, my husband's name, our son's name, and our old dog's name. So 4 names, and I'm gonna stop the time. Stop. So this took me a total of 8 seconds to write down these 4 names, one after another. I didn't make a single mistake. Don't laugh about it. It's a simple task, but I'm gonna prove you something different, because now this is how a resemblance of how you do things when you do them one after another. First, writing one name, then you write the second name, then you write the third name, and then you write the 4th name. So now I'm doing the same thing. I'm writing down 4 names, these 4 names, which I actually had practiced in the second time. I should be even faster, but I'm gonna do it in a multitask way. So I'm gonna first write down every first letter of each name, then every second letter, then every third letter, and every 4th letter, and so on. But I'm not gonna cheat, so look at this. I'm gonna write it out of my head, and I'm gonna time the time again. And I tried to be really fast. I wrote them down again. And this time it took me actually 16 seconds to finish it. That's double the time. I didn't make a mistake. Kudos to me. I mean, it was an easy task. But this is just showing you how multitasking is just making things way more hard, because this is just a really tiny task, and obviously it's not comparable to real tasks or project that you try to do in multitasking. But what you do here is you write one name after another. You can focus on one thing, and then on the next thing, and then on the next thing. That ends you up with way less mistakes and a way faster time. Here, I'm first writing one letter here. Then I have to think about, okay, what's the next name? Okay, start with an L. What's the next name? Starts with an M. What's the next name? Starts with an H. So then I think about, okay, where did I stop on the first task? Oh, I stopped here with a C, so now it comes an H. And I mean, this time I didn't make any mistakes. There were times I did this task and did even some mistakes, but it's just showing you that when you have to constantly interrupt one task that you're doing to then jump to the next task and then have to remember, okay, where did I stop? How do I continue? It just takes much more time and also much more of your focus and energy, and in the end, happiness. So when you plan your workday, do one thing after another. That doesn't mean that while the laundry machine is running, you can't do anything else. Of course, yeah, that's something else. Or when you're at your workday and you have data which are processing right now, that you can plan those things smart, that you set them up in the morning so they work through all the day or they work through the night so you can do something different in that time. That's not multitasking, that's just smart planning of your task and waiting time. But plan just one thing after another when you fill in your day, because that's also about mindfulness, about focus, and also in the end about a joyful day that you're experiencing. That was already it for this week again. Let me summarize it again. After having sorted everything out and have now your leftover pile of tasks, which you love to do because you love them and that's why you kept them, or things that you have to do because they're important or they're just related to your job and you just have to do them, or they're household chores, whatever. Look at your ideal day and see how you can fill them in the right order of their priority, and also in the slot that you plan for them, for the sports, for your family time, for your work time, and look after prioritization. What's the most important thing? And that's what you get done first. And while you're doing that, while you're filling in your calendar this way, look for the 3 things: that you do one activity per day minimum that makes you happy, that you plan your breaks and you plan really time out times where you don't have to use your brain so it can wander and be creative, and also be careful of multitasking. Don't try to do too many things at the same time. Don't try to do anything at the same time. Do one thing after another. It's about mindfulness, it's about focus, and it's about your time and your joyfulness that you feel during the day. And this is how you sort back in your calendar. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope there were some good tips with it. And if you have questions, write them in the comments. If you have questions to the previous videos, look at them. Also write me questions. Also, there's my website and email if you have any questions. And yeah, if this is happy, send it to other people. I'm always happy about a like or a comment, and I wish you good luck organizing your calendar.